Girls, why didn't you walk out of the school this morning?
Well, I didn't believe that there was enough people to walk out to really do any good. I mean, if there was enough people to walk out and show that the kids at Central are all not for this, that it might have done some good, but only just a few did. Besides, I didn't think it would really do the purpose. I mean, you could be suspended or something like that.
That's the same as I feel, and I didn't want to mess up on my studies like it's all cost. I've been out already a week, and I don't want to be out anymore and miss anything that I have to miss.
Well, that's why I didn't walk out, because I really didn't think there were enough kids that were going to walk out. And I believe that if they hadn't found out we were going to do it, more people would have walked out. But after they found out, the kids more got scared than they would have otherwise.
How do you feel about having the 9 Negroes there?
Well, they really haven't done any harm to me, especially, but I'd rather have it not going to school with them. It doesn't seem like there's much that we can do right now.
If any of you talked with the Negroes?
Oh, in gym, they've been very friendly to me, but we haven't discussed this problem. They just talk about their activities or something like that.
You mean some of the white children do talk to them?
Yes, in gym, there are 2 Negro girls in my class, and we talk to them, but not about the problems at school.
Do you think this will go on indefinitely? Can it go on indefinitely?
Well, what do you mean just by that?
Well, can you continue your studies and get your homework done and pass your tests with troops and incidents and...
Well, lately, with the guards standing outside the door and continually looking in the room to see if the Negro students are all right, well, it certainly upsets me, because I hear the footsteps or see someone peeping around, and I'll look up and get my mind off the work, and I just can't completely work.
You may have heard that some of the boys who walked out this morning came across the street and hung up an effigy of a Negro on a tree and set fire to it.
Yeah.
Right over here. Now, how do you feel about that?
I think that's all uncalled for.
It certainly is. I mean, you can bring about things without showing disorder like that. That shows that you're very immature if you can't discuss and do about problems without things like that.
Well, I hadn't even heard anything about it until you mentioned it then, but I don't believe it was necessary either. There should have been some other way that they could have shown that they didn't want them there.
Well, do you feel that the 9 Negroes are going to stay under the court order, or do you think they'll eventually be driven out?
The Negro students are going to stay for the reason that the Central students can't do anything about it. Every week there's a different plan, like this plan for walking out, and it didn't go over. So I just think that sooner or later they're going to stay, because no plan has worked over yet.
Do you think if they do stay and the troops are taken away that things will settle back to normal eventually?
Well,
I don't.
And
I think that this fighting, and as you might say, it would keep up more or less, because there's so many kids that don't want them there that something's going to keep on happening, I believe.
Now we can't even stand out in front of the school on the steps in the morning. We have to stay inside the building.
Yes, it's just like well, I mean, you're guarded all the time. It's not even like a school hardly. I mean, every place you walk, there's somebody telling you to go on or don't stand there, something like that. It's not like
that's right, because there's no certain place that you can go without someone pushing you on or saying, you can't stand here, or you can't do this, or you can't do that.
The soldiers give these orders to the students?
Well, they have passed bulletins around today that they do not want you to stand in front of the school of the morning, and usually that has been done by all the students, just congregating around and talking.
We just walk around and talk and everything, but since they had that little incident up there the other morning, they won't let you stand up there.
Well, presumably, you say if the soldiers are taken away, there'll be more trouble, and the soldiers will come back and go away, and there'll be more trouble. Eventually, maybe the white students are going to have to choose between having the Negroes there and having the soldiers there forever. Do you think the students would prefer to have law and order and the Negroes, or have no law and order and not have the Negroes?
Oh, certainly everyone's order, because fights and everything like that is all uncalled for. But I don't know how they're going to settle it without things. I mean, it's certainly not called for, but I don't know how they're going to settle it.
Also, I think that there's usually just a one-sided opinion, like I said to you a few minutes ago, that they just show the side that the Negroes have to face and not what we have to. And usually that is the case, because they never show what when the colored people start a fight or something like that, or they have it written down at the paper on the last page in very little print.
Well, tell us what it is that you feel that the white students have to face that's difficult for them.
Well, I think it is. It's just difficult to go to school like that when you've been used to going to school with just all white. And I don't know exactly, but you're used to the colored race having their own school, and they do have as good a schools as we do. And Central being as crowded as it is, and we just got rid of some white students that transferred over to the new school. And then these 9 come over to Central when they have a school that's not even filled to capacity yet.
I just wanted to say that one reason that the kids don't want them going there, it's not because we don't really dislike the Negroes themselves. It's just that they don't have to go there, but they're just doing it. A lot of people think it's more or less just for the publicity or just to have something different going on, because they don't really have to go there at all. And they have their new colored high school, and it's pretty good. I mean, it's good for them if they go there, but they just don't.
Of course, their answer is, well, the Supreme Court said separate facilities are not the same as equal, and that they demand equality.
I think their schools are about as equal as ours, so.
Well, I think in a place like Little Rock, where they have just as good as places as we have, and they go to school, and I think they learn just as much as we learn here. And I don't think the colored students that are here are really concentrating on their work right now. They might be, but this is my own personal opinion, because of having all the children yell at them and everything. But that's to be expected, really.
Because you girls have never mixed with Negroes on any kind of an equal basis in your lives before, have you?
No, sir.
And it makes it...
I never had anything to do with any until we came here. I mean, they never lived, well, what you'd say, close enough to us, or we just never were around them, really.
Isn't that part of what makes it difficult when you live 15 or 17 years of your life and then start doing something different all of a sudden?
Well, I think, like if a Spanish or a Chinese person came here, it wouldn't be hard to get along with them. It's just that the Negroes are what you might say more different to us than a Spanish person might be.
But now, you've talked with some of these Negroes yourself. Do you think they are very different from you?
Well, I believe they all have the same ideas as all the white students do. But on this program I saw interviewing a Negro girl. She said that she thought that she would make better friends with Central. And I think a friend is someone that you can work with and depend on and discuss problems and get together. And often girls have parties together and things like that. And I think as far as going to school with them, you can be nice to them, but friends, I mean, friends is much closer. You sometimes stay all night with each other at bunking parties, social parties, and everything.
And you can't ever imagine you're being on that
No, I
kind of friendship
can't.
with a Negro. Talk to them, I have the impression that most of them would have nothing to do with it.
That's right. But the ones that they do talk to, they're really sort of making fun of them as they talk to them. And I don't think that it's right for them to be going to school with us, because it's mentioned in the Bible. I can't say where it is, but I could find it for you, that the races weren't supposed to mix like that. And I think if it was God's will to have us mixed, we would be mixed. I mean, we'd just be mixed right now.
Does any white student who does talk to them, is he immediately accused of being a Negro lover?
No, sir.
Mm-hmm.
No.
They maybe don't exactly like them talking to them, but they don't exactly throw a fit about it, you might say.
Yeah.
Because the people that talk to them usually aren't maybe just helping them out on where some certain room is or something like that. They don't really talk as a friend would, you might say.
Do you feel that the situation is any calmer now than it was a week ago when the troops first came? Are you settling down to normal emotionally at all?
Well, you might say all over it's calmed down, but there's still a lot going on. I mean, we feel about it now as we did then. Our opinions haven't changed much, I don't believe.
Well, thanks very much, girls.
Thank you.
This is Mike McKelvey, a sophomore here at Central High School, which is the building just behind us, and these are two of his friends, Dinah and Sheila. Now, Mike, I'd like to start off by asking you, you were in there today when some of the students walked out, and I believe they burned a Negro in effigy and caused some disturbance. How do you feel about it?
I think that was ridiculous. There's no sense to it. It's not going to help any matters any. It's stupid.
Well, now, tell me, Mike, the whole problem here at Central High, how has it affected your studies?
It hasn't affected me one way or another. I don't care about it. I'm up there to learn, not try to solve racial problems.
How do you feel about sitting in the same classrooms with the colored children?
Oh, I don't mind that. I have a colored kid in my gym class, and he's a pretty good old guy.
Well, what do you think the basic problem here is? Is it the students, or is it the parents around the community?
It's the parents, that's what it is. Because most of the students over there are accepting it, and there are only a few of these hoodlums, you know, that just want to start trouble.
In other words, most of the students, you think, feel like you do, that you're just there to study?
More or less, yeah.
Would you say that the situation as it is seems to interrupt classes and causes you to have trouble studying?
Oh, I don't know. It doesn't interrupt any of my classes. It hadn't interrupted any of mine, except the first day, you know, when all this commotion was out here, when the crowd was out here. Some of the people would start walking out of the school, and the crowd would start clapping, and every time that happened, everybody would run over the windows.
That hasn't happened since the first day?
No, it hadn't happened.
Well, now, how has studying been going today after these kids walked out?
I didn't even notice it. It's just about the same in all my classes.
And you have one colored boy in one of your classes?
In gym class. He's a pretty good old guy.
And he seems to get along with everyone?
Yeah. He's trying to make friends, but some of them, you know, just won't make friends.
And some will?
Yeah. Me, for instance.
Well, where do you think we can go from here now? Do you think that sending 9 Negro students into the school this year was too much?
No, I think that wasn't enough. I think they should have sent more in there.
How do you feel about having the troops around?
I think, well, it's okay to prevent violence, but as far as following them around the halls, I've been looking at that, and I think that's pretty ridiculous.
They are inside the school building itself now?
Following them around the halls.
But what goes on inside the halls there?
Nothing at all. Except for that one incident, nothing's happened.
What was that one incident?
Where they kicked them and cheered at them. And,
that was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yes, that was yesterday.
Do you think the students could handle this without the soldiers inside the school?
Well, of course there'd be some of them that were just show-offs and try to start a lot of trouble, but if it wasn't for them, we could handle it very well.
How about the girls? I'm going to move over and talk to them. Thanks, Mike. You girls now, as I understand it, are junior high school seniors, and you'll be going here to Central High School starting next year, right? Just a second.
Mike, don't go away.
You'll start to Central High next fall about this time, is that right?
Yes.
Well, now, how do you feel about this whole problem here?
Well, I mean, I think the troops are okay, but the minute they leave, there's going to be just as much trouble as there was when they left, because they think that they can't, well, the National Guard wasn't severe enough on them, and they aren't scared of the National Guard. And they were the airborne troops.
Are you talking about the students now, or the parents and the crowd?
Well, I don't know which is causing the most trouble. Some students from other schools have been over here. At least so my sister have told me. And they've caused a lot of the trouble. But before, at the first school, the student council had already appointed some of the kids to take the Negro students around and show them around school, and everything was going fine. And then Faubus sent the guards up and everything like that, and then trouble started. And I don't know if it was Faubus or what, or the parents or who, but it just, a lot of people just started getting hurt and everything. And my sister said that up there in the lunchroom they started putting signs up like, "Niggers, get out of here," or "Go back to Africa." And she just got up and pulled it back down again. They called her names and everything, but a lot of people have been making friends with the colored children. They never have put that in the newspaper. All they've been putting is the things that have been happening that have been bad, like the children going after the colored ones and everything.
In other words, you think that there have been some sides to this that have worked out pretty well?
Yes, sir.
Well, now, how about you? How would you feel about going to school with the colored kids?
Well, I'm not going to mind it. I mean, if they're going to come, they've got to come anyway. It may be
about 50 years from now, but they're going to come.
You mean integration is going to come?
Integration is going to come.
I'd like to ask Sheila, how about, now come over here a little closer. You all are running away from me. How do you feel about it? You'll start the school here next year. Would you mind going with colored students?
No, I don't. Well, yes and no. I mean, I've been teased a lot about, you know, being dark and everything. I mean, it used to bother me. I used to come home crying about it. But I mean, the niggers will get used to them saying something, and they won't think anything about it. After they get used to it and everything.
In other words, you think you could get used to going to school with colored children?
Yes, sir. I think so. I mean, if I'm gonna have to do it, I might as well get used to it.
Well, now, what about this? Do you think that the trouble is with the students here in the high school and in the schools of Little Rock, or is it with the parents, or is it with outsiders, or where is the trouble?
I think it's the parents. I mean, I saw, you know, all these crowds out here and men kicking that Negro and everything.
And you don't sympathize with that sort of action at all?
No, sir, I don't.
What do you think?
Well, I think it was just downright un-American, and I think it was the most terrible thing that has ever been seen in America. I mean, yeah, I guess I'm sounding patriotic or something like that, but I always thought that all men were created equal, and that God loves all these little children, even the Negroes. And Negro children is just much, boys, just much my brother as Mike is, and all that. I know religion is supposed to be brought up and isn't supposed to be brought up in politics, but I've always sympathized with that. But I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I'm sort of scared, and I'm sort of not scared, because I'm afraid a whole lot of people's going to be hurt who didn't need to be hurt in the first place.
Mike, what do you say about that?
About those crowds?
About the real basis of the trouble here. Is it among the students, or is it among the parents?
It's among the parents. Those crowds are just stupid. I'm glad that Eisenhower sent those paratroopers in here, because those other guys weren't. They lived here, and once all this is over, they're going to have to go back and face their people they lived with. And these people here, they're from Kentucky, you know, and they don't have anything to worry about.
Tell me this now, you've had these kids shouting at you while you've been talking here. Are some of the kids in the school sort of angry if you talk to newsmen?
Yeah, they're mad if we express our views.
Are they afraid themselves to talk to us?
Some of them are.
I've noticed when I've gone up to some, they wouldn't even answer. In other words, there's some pressure on you not to talk to us and not to say how you feel.
Yeah, there is.
Mm-hmm. And that's because they disagree with you, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks very much.